You're standing in a grocery store. Fluorescent lights hum above. You reach for a package of meat wrapped in plastic. Chicken, beef, pork, maybe even salmon. You don't think twice about it. It's just food. But here is a question you have never asked yourself. Why have you never seen a package of lion meat, or wolf meat, or eagle meat? You eat cows. You eat pigs. You eat chickens by the billions. But you have never eaten a predator. Not once. And the real answer is far stranger than you imagine. Think about it. Across every culture, across every continent, humans eat herbivores. We eat animals that eat plants. We almost never eat animals that eat other animals. There are exceptions, of course. Some cultures eat dog. Some eat alligator. Shark fin soup exists. But these are rare, often ceremonial, and usually considered unusual even by the people who eat them. The universal rule is clear. You eat the prey. You do not eat the predator. But why? The obvious answer seems to be safety. Predators are dangerous to hunt. They have sharp teeth, powerful claws, and the instincts to fight back. A lion is harder to kill than a cow. A wolf is more aggressive than a sheep. But that explanation doesn't hold up. Humans have hunted mammoths, whales, and elephants. We have hunted creatures far larger and more dangerous than any predator. We have hunted them to extinction. So why not hunt predators for food? The answer is not about difficulty. It is about chemistry. It is about the accumulation of poison. Consider the natural world. Plants are the foundation of every food chain. Herbivores eat plants. Predators eat herbivores. And larger predators eat smaller predators. With each step up this ladder, something terrible happens. Toxins concentrate. This is called biomagnification. The ecologist Barry Commoner was among the first to articulate this principle in the 1970s. When a plant absorbs trace amounts of a heavy metal or a pesticide, it stores it in its tissues. A herbivore eats thousands of plants. That herbivore accumulates all those toxins. And when a predator eats dozens of herbivores, it inherits every single trace chemical stored in their bodies. By the time you reach the top of the food chain, the concentration of toxins is thousands of times higher than the environment around it. This is why apex predators are often the first to collapse when an ecosystem is polluted. Their bodies become holding tanks for the poison of everything below them. And you are an apex predator. You sit at the very top. So when you eat a predator, you are eating not just that animal. You are eating everything it ever ate. And everything those animals ever ate. All the way down to the plants that first absorbed the poison from the soil. You are eating concentrated history. But this is not just a modern problem caused by pesticides and heavy metals. The accumulation of toxins is a biological law that existed long before human industry. Consider vitamin A. It is essential for life. But in large quantities, it is deadly. Predators store vitamin A in their livers. The liver of a bear, a seal, a shark, or a polar bear contains enough vitamin A to kill a human several times over. This is not just theory. In 1913, explorer Alfred Wegener was stranded in Greenland. He and his team ate a meal of polar bear liver. Within hours, they were vomiting. Their skin began to peel. Their vision blurred. They had suffered acute hypervitaminosis A. They had been poisoned by a meal. They were lucky to survive. Indigenous Arctic peoples have known this for millennia. They avoid eating the liver of polar bears and seals. They have oral traditions warning against it. They understood the danger long before Western science identified the compound. But the phenomenon is not limited to Arctic animals. Sharks, tuna, and swordfish are predators. They accumulate mercury over their long lives. A single serving of shark meat can contain mercury levels that pose a serious health risk. This is why many countries have warnings about consuming large predatory fish. But humans have not always known this. We have learned it the hard way. There is another layer to this story. It is not just about poison. It is about energy. Every time one organism eats another, energy is lost. This is the famous principle of the trophic pyramid. Plants absorb sunlight. They convert it into stored energy. A cow eats plants and uses most of that energy just to stay alive. Only about 10% of the energy from the plants actually becomes cow meat. A wolf eats the cow. Again, most of the energy is lost. Only 10% of the cow's energy becomes wolf meat. By the time you eat a predator, you are eating energy that has been filtered through multiple metabolic sieves. It is inefficient. It is wasteful. You would need a vast landscape of herbivores to support just one predator. And you would need many predators to feed a single human. The math does not work. This is why human agriculture relies on herbivores. We have discovered, through trial and error, that it is easier and more sustainable to eat animals that eat plants. It requires less land, less water, and less time. It is simply more practical. But this is not a conscious choice for most people. It is an instinct, a deep intuition that has been shaped by thousands of generations of survival. Consider what happens to a child encountering a predator for the first time. A child sees a lion in a zoo. The child may feel awe, may feel fear. But does the child feel hunger? Almost certainly not. There is no drooling. There is no craving. The reaction is entirely different from seeing a cow or a chicken. This is not a learned response. It is an instinctual aversion. You are born with it. But here is the counterintuitive twist. You already eat predators. You just don't call them that. You eat chickens. Chickens eat insects. Insects are predators. You eat fish. Fish eat smaller fish. You eat pigs. Pigs will eat almost anything, including small animals. You eat beef. Cows are herbivores. But you feed them grain that was grown with pesticides. And you eat the cows. The toxins still accumulate. They may be lower than in a wolf, but they are there, in your body, right now. This is the dark mirror of the predator diet. You are at the top of the chain. You are the apex predator. And everything you eat concentrates in your tissues. The mercury from fish, the pesticides from grain, the heavy metals from soil. They accumulate. They become part of you. You are not just eating food. You are eating the history of the land, the history of the water, the history of the industrial world. The anthropologist Richard Wrangham has argued that cooking was the turning point in human evolution. When you cook food, you break down toxins. You increase digestibility. You unlock more energy. Cooking allowed you to eat meat more safely. It allowed you to survive as a predator. But it also created a new problem. You began to industrialize your food supply. You began to feed your herbivores grain. You began to produce more meat than any ecosystem could sustain. And you began to concentrate toxins at an unprecedented scale. Consider the case of the Faroe Islands. The people there have a traditional diet that includes pilot whale meat. Pilot whales are predators. They feed on fish and squid. They accumulate high levels of mercury and PCBs. The children born on the Faroe Islands have been shown to have neurological deficits linked to this diet. The researchers Philippe Grandjean and his colleagues published a landmark study on this in the 1990s. They documented the exact pathway of biomagnification. It is the same pathway that has existed for millions of years. But now it is amplified by industrialization. So why do you never eat predator meat? Because your ancestors learned that it was dangerous. They learned that it was wasteful. They learned that it was unsustainable. And they passed that knowledge down to you in the form of instinct, tradition, and cultural taboo. But the deeper truth is more unsettling. You have simply outsourced the role of predator to your farm animals. They eat the plants. They accumulate the toxins. And then you eat them. You are still the apex predator. You are just filtering the poison through a buffer of herbivores. Now think about your diet. Think about the fish you eat. The tuna, the salmon, the swordfish. These are predators. You are eating predators. You are eating concentrated mercury. And you are telling yourself it is healthy. You are eating grass-fed beef, but the grass is sprayed with chemicals. You are eating free-range chicken, but the chicken eats insects that have eaten pesticides. The chain is longer than you think. And you are at the end of it. This is not a warning to stop eating meat. It is a realization. You are a predator. You have always been a predator. But you have evolved to eat lower on the food chain because it is safer and more efficient. You have developed taboos against eating apex predators because they are reservoirs of poison. And you have created a system of agriculture that magnifies those poisons in ways your ancestors could never have imagined. So the next time you walk into that grocery store, look at the meat in the packages. Look at the salmon. Look at the tuna. Look at the beef. And understand what you are holding. You are holding the history of an ecosystem. You are holding the concentration of everything below you. You are holding the energy of the sun, filtered through plants, filtered through herbivores, filtered through you. You are the apex, and the food you eat is a map of your place in the world. Your ancestors avoided predator meat because they knew, without knowing, that it carried the weight of the world. They knew it was heavy with death, heavy with time, heavy with everything that had ever lived and died beneath it. And they passed that weight to you, not in words, in instinct, in taste, in the deep feeling you have when you look at a lion and you feel wonder, not hunger. So you will never eat predator meat. Not because you can't, but because something in you already knows. It knows the cost. It knows the accumulation. It knows that the weight of that meal is heavier than any hunger you could bring to it. You are not broken. You are not wrong. You are simply carrying an ancient wisdom, the wisdom that says, eat low, eat light, eat the herbivore, leave the lion to the gods. And when you close your eyes and sleep at night, that old voice will still be there, quiet, ancient, whispering the same lesson it has whispered for 100,000 years. You are what you eat, and you eat what you have always eaten, the prey, not the predator.